Wait, the ramen shop exploded.
Into a million pieces,
Yeah,
yeah.
I am completely reeling right now. I mean, I cannot wrap my head around the sheer absurdity of this.
It's wild.
Right, like Master Shiba gives them this warm, welcoming smile, and the literal result of that hospitality is a domestic terrorism incident.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, you're sitting here with us listening to this. Did you see this coming? Because I definitely didn't. I was sitting here thinking, oh, we're getting a nice, wholesome cool-down moment for Problem Solver 68.
Right, a little slice of life.
Exactly, and then suddenly, boom, the entire building is just gone.
It is quite the escalation, for sure.
Oh.
But, if we trace the psychological breadcrumbs backward, it's actually this masterpiece of terrible decisions.
Oh, complete.
And it's all driven by profound emotional distress,
Yeah.
right? We start with a comforting bowl of noodles,
Yeah.
which triggers a psychological breakdown, which then naturally triggers a high explosive detonation.
See, I still say Aru is just incompetent. I mean, she's the boss.
Yep.
She walked into a noodle shop, had a massive panic attack because the owner was nice to her, and just let her subordinate blow it up. How is that anything but totally failing at your job?
I mean, it definitely looks like incompetence on the surface, sure,
Kinda is.
but it's actually a severe case of cognitive dissonance. Like, to really understand why Haruka felt the need to plant C4 in a beloved eatery.
Which is still insane.
Totally insane, yeah.
But we have to look at the sheer weight of Aru's completely misplaced guilt. And that all stems from the Stygian Bank incident earlier.
Oh my gosh, the bank. Okay, yes.
Right.
Because that entire mess is just a tragedy of errors. You've got the Abydos kids grinding day in and day out.
Just exhausting themselves.
Exactly, exhausting themselves to pay off this massive debt. And then they discover that the money they've been paying is quietly being funneled right into the Stygian Bank.
Which is a Kaiser front.
Which is a Kaiser front, the very people holding their debt.
Right. It's a closed loop of corruption. So, understandably outraged, they put on those ridiculous swimsuit masks. Oh, the masks are so funny.
And they just march right into the bank and rob it to steal their own money back.
Which is an incredible image, honestly. But here is the part that drives me crazy, and it's just hilariously tragic.
Yeah.
Aru is sitting in the lobby of that exact bank during the robbery.
She is.
She is sitting there totally stressed out,
Yeah.
literally trying to get a conventional loan to cover her own recent mistakes.
Exactly. This supposed, hardcore outlaw boss is essentially trying to refinance.
Right. She's filling out paperwork, and she watches these masked girls burst in and pull off this brazen heist.
Unbelievable timing.
And Aru, who desperately wants to be seen as a ruthless criminal mastermind, looks at them and is just in absolute awe.
Oh, she's taking notes.
She is. She is admiring their act of pure villainy. She's sitting there taking mental notes on how to be a better criminal from these teenagers.
I mean, the irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife, right?
Yeah.
She's idolizing the very girl she has a mercenary contract to fight.
Yes. But then comes the guilt trip.
Always does.
Because later on, Aru pieces it together. She realizes that these ruthless bank robbers she was idolizing are the exact same sweet, kind-hearted kids who bought her entire impoverished crew a bowl of ramen when they were starving.
Which just shatters her reality. You have to remember, Aru is basically playing a character.
Right, the whole hard-boiled thing.
Exactly. She's constructed this elaborate outlaw persona, but underneath it, she's highly empathetic.
She's a softie.
She really is. She's contracted by Kaiser to attack Abydos, but now she knows her targets are the only ones who showed her genuine kindness when she was at rock bottom.
I am just so invested in her emotional state right here. I was practically yelling at my screen like, just talk to each other.
If only they would.
This could have been avoided. You're all just broke teenagers. Stop fighting.
It is frustrating, I know. But look at the systemic issue that's really forcing their hands here. Kaiser is squeezing everyone.
Kaiser.
It's like a rigged casino where the house isn't just taking your money, they're literally locking the doors and making the players fight each other for the chips.
Wait, I like that, but it's even worse. It's like the house locked two starving people in a room with one breadcrumb,
Right.
and the owner is just watching them fight from a VIP balcony, but the owner also sold them the weapons they're using to fight over the crumb.
That is a much more accurate way to put it, yeah. Kaiser's monopoly creates the desperation.
Exactly.
It creates the environment where Problem Solver 68 is so impoverished they can't even afford food, which forces them to take shady mercenary contracts from Kaiser.
Right.
And it creates the environment where Abydos is so deeply in debt that their only recourse is to rob a corrupt Kaiser bank. Like, Kaiser pitted them against each other by starving them both.
Wow. Okay, that makes it even sadder.
It's pretty grim.
But it also perfectly sets up the scene of the crime. Shibaseki Ramen.
Right. So Aru is having a full-blown moral crisis over this contract.
She's a wreck.
She is. And her team, who honestly love her so much, can see she's just super depressed.
Yeah.
So to cheer her up, they decide to take her out to the place where they had that great meal.
Which is, psychologically speaking, the absolute worst place she could possibly be.
The absolute worst.
It really is. It's the scene of the kindness. They walk in, and Master Shiba, who is just a saint.
He really is a saint.
He gives them this incredibly warm, hearty welcome. He recognizes them. He's so happy to see them. And Aru just snaps.
The guilt just becomes physically unbearable for her.
Yes.
Her carefully constructed outlaw persona just entirely collapses under the weight of his genuine hospitality.
She drops to her knees and just goes into a screaming, crying fit right there in the restaurant.
Right on the floor.
Which brings us to Haruka. Oh my goodness, Haruka.
Haruka. So Haruka looks at her beloved boss. She sees Aru screaming in agony upon entering the establishment.
Right.
And Haruka bypasses every single logical, rational thought process available to a human being.
Literally all of them.
And decides that the only permanent solution to her boss's distress is high explosives.
She plants a bomb.
She plants a bomb and blows the shop to absolute smithereens.
So crazy.
What's fascinating here, though, is observing Haruka's deeply flawed incentive structure.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, in her mind, the restaurant caused the screaming. Therefore, the restaurant must be removed from reality.
It's like using a sledgehammer to kill a mosquito that landed on your boss's forehead.
That's exactly what it is.
I mean, I have to ask you, listening to this, have you ever tried to fix a slightly awkward social situation and accidentally ruined your friend's entire life?
Hopefully not with C4.
Right, because this is exactly that, but with literal explosives.
Yeah.
It's taking, I want to support my friend, to the most destructive extreme possible.
And predictably, the consequences of that sledgehammer immediately spiral out of control.
Obviously.
Because Haruka's extreme loyalty perfectly mirrors the insane escalation we see next from Abydos.
Yeah.
They hear the explosion. They rush over, and they see their absolute favorite hangout spot reduced to a smoking crater.
It's just rubble.
And standing right in the middle of the rubble is Aru and her crew.
So Abydos immediately assumes that Aru is this heinous mastermind who destroyed the ramen shop just to send them a message.
Naturally.
And this is the part where I was actually pulling my hair out.
Oh, I know.
Because Aru realizes what Abydos thinks. All she has to do is say, I am so sorry, my subordinate panicked. This was a huge accident.
That's all it would take.
But she doesn't?
No, her pride
Her pride.
and her desperate need to maintain that persona we talked about, it gets in the way.
She chooses to pretend to be the villain. She actually does the evil laugh.
The laugh is great, though.
It is, but she's too embarrassed to admit it was a mistake, so she just leans into the misunderstanding. I mean, just talk to each other. A 5-minute conversation could have stopped this.
But admitting it was a mistake destroys her brand, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It forces her to admit she's not in control of her own team. So instead, a full-scale battle erupts. It's chaotic, it's entirely based on the misunderstanding, and deep down, neither side actually wants to hurt the other.
No. And just as the battle is reaching its absolute peak, artillery shells start raining down from the sky.
Actual heavy artillery.
A massive bombardment out of nowhere.
Right.
Ayan gets on the comms and announces that they are being shelled by Gehenna's prefect team. And I'm just sitting there staring at my screen like, why are teenagers solving a noise complaint with artillery?
It's a bit much.
How did we get from a bowl of noodles to a multi-faction war with heavy munitions in the span of an hour?
Well, this really raises an important point about how conflicts escalate when larger bureaucratic systems get involved.
Right.
Ayan arrives leading the prefect team, and she immediately declares their intent to arrest Problem Solver 68.
But Abydos isn't having it.
Not at all.
They point out a very basic fact of jurisdiction. Gehenna has zero legal authority to conduct military arrests on Abydos territory. It's not their district.
Exactly. Akko is basically conducting an unprovoked military strike on sovereign territory.
Yes.
What's happening here is a larger bureaucratic system completely overstepping its bounds. Akko doesn't care about the nuance of the ramen shop explosion.
She doesn't even know what happened.
She just sees an opportunity to assert Gehenna's dominance and clean up what she views as a rogue element.
Wait, I just realized something.
What's that?
Akko is doing the exact same thing Haruka did.
How do you mean?
Haruka blew up a restaurant because she thought she was protecting Aru, right?
Right.
Akko is launching artillery into a foreign district because she thinks she's protecting Gehenna's reputation.
Oh, wow.
Both of them are these overly zealous subordinates escalating a local misunderstanding into an absolute catastrophe because they think they're doing their boss a favor.
That is a brilliant connection, actually. It's the exact same deeply flawed incentive structure, just applied on a geopolitical scale instead of a local restaurant.
Yeah.
By inserting herself and her heavy artillery into a local misunderstanding, Akko forces Abydos to defend their sovereignty.
So now Abydos and Problem Solver 68, who are literally just trying to kill each other 5 minutes ago, are basically forced to team up against this massive Gehenna army. It's chaos. It's a full-blown international incident caused by a bowl of noodles.
It is entirely unsustainable. Yeah. Which is why the resolution has to come from the top down.
Thank goodness for Hana.
Honestly.
I breathed such a massive sigh of relief when she showed up. She walks in, looks at the situation, immediately realizes Akko has completely overstepped her authority, and just shuts her down.
She reprimands Akko, issues a formal apology to the Abydos students, and just orders her entire army to pull out.
The only person in this entire universe who actually possesses common sense.
Serious.
She just de-escalates the whole thing and leaves.
Yes, the immediate fighting stops.
Thank God.
But the damage is already done. And as the dust settles, we get to the real underlying horror of this entire chapter.
Oh, the hospital visit with Master Shiba.
Yeah.
Because at first you think it's just going to be a sweet wrap-up, right? You, as the reader, think it's over. Sarika and Ayan go to make sure he's okay after the explosion.
Right, checking in.
He's fine, thankfully. But then he tells them he can't rebuild the shop. And my immediate thought was, oh, it's too expensive. Problem Solver 68 ruined his livelihood.
Yeah, naturally. But that isn't the reason.
No, it has nothing to do with the bomb. He tells them the building itself, the actual land it sits on, was legally taken over by Kaiser.
Right.
The eviction was already happening. Haruka just sped up the demolition.
Which prompts Ayan and Sarika to return to their club room and do some serious administrative digging.
Right.
They pull the land deeds, the public records, the property transfers for the entire district.
And when they realize what's happening, it made me so incredibly angry.
It's a gut punch.
It is so deeply unfair. They realize that it's not just the ramen shop. The vast majority of the land in the Abydos district has already been transferred to Kaiser.
Yeah.
It's done. The ink is dry. The ground beneath their feet has literally been legally purchased.
Yes. Think about what we've been watching this whole time. We've watched these 5 girls taking on incredibly dangerous jobs.
Risking their lives.
Fighting gangs, exhausting themselves, skipping meals, going into this massive, terrifying debt, all because they believed they were saving their school and their town.
Right.
They've been giving their blood, sweat, and tears. And for what? The town is already gone.
It really recontextualizes everything we've seen about the debt up to this point. It reveals the true chilling nature of Kaiser's strategy. Because when you look at the mechanics of it, it was never about extracting cash.
Right, Kaiser is a mega syndicate. They don't actually need the pocket change. These teenagers are scraping together from part-time jobs and bank robberies.
It's a hostile corporate takeover disguised as a financial service, the 900 million yen debt, the astronomical interest rates.
Yeah.
It's toxic debt. By holding an impossible financial burden over the school, Kaiser manufactured a scenario where the school would inevitably default.
And when you default on a debt of that size,
the creditor gets to legally repossess your assets. In this case, the collateral isn't a car or a house. The collateral is the sovereign territory of the district itself.
they use the illusion of a payable debt to keep the students distracted.
Precisely.
Keeping them grinding away on a hamster wheel, keeping hope alive just enough so they wouldn't look at the bigger picture. And while they were distracted, the corporate lawyers quietly, legally bought up the entire district out from under them.
Yeah.
The students were fighting a war of attrition they had already lost before Chapter 1 even started.
It really highlights the sheer ruthlessness of bureaucratic warfare.
Yeah.
I mean, Abydos and Problem Solver 68 are fighting in the dirt over misunderstandings and pride.
Right.
They're using guns and artillery. But the real enemy, the men in suits up in the corporate towers, they're using paper. They are stamping Ds and stealing an entire world without firing a single shot.
It makes you feel so powerless. You know, you're listening to this or reading this and you're watching these kids tear each other apart. And the whole time, Kaiser is just quietly foreclosing on their future.
It's bleak.
But There's one lingering thread here, one little detail that keeps poking at my brain, and it changes the context of this whole land grab.
You're referring to the warning Hina dropped right before she left.
Yes. When Hina was pulling the prefect team out, she leaned in and said that Kaiser is up to something out in the Abydos desert.
Which is a very strange place for a megacorporation to focus its attention.
Exactly. Why buy up a completely deserted, sandblasted wasteland?
Right.
What value does that hold for a company like Kaiser? Because if it went through all this trouble to legally steal the land, it wasn't just to build condos. They want something specific.
Okay, if Kaiser already owns everything, then what exactly are they digging for in the desert?